I stared at the cream-colored envelope on my desk, my name written in my mother's elegant handwriting. It had arrived early on my 35th birthday, delivered by courier rather than regular mail. That should have been my first warning sign. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm what most people would call successful. At 35, I'm the youngest VP of operations at Vertex Technologies, living in a modest but comfortable apartment in the city. But in my family's eyes, success came with obligations. Obligations I'd been fulfilling without complaint for the past decade. The envelope felt heavy in my hands as I opened it, expecting a birthday card. Instead, I found a 3-page letter and a newspaper clipping about luxury vacation homes in the Hamptons. The letter began with words that made my stomach drop. Dear Sarah, since you've made it clear that you're too selfish to help fulfill your family's dreams, we decided to celebrate your birthday without you. Don't bother coming to dinner tonight. Your father and I have supported you throughout your life. We put you through college, gave you a roof over your head, and made countless sacrifices. Now that you're successful, it's time for you to repay that support in full. Your refusal to help us purchase our dream vacation home shows just how ungrateful you've become. Maybe some time alone will help you reconsider your priorities. Mom. I sat back in my office chair, letting out a long breath. Ungrateful. The word stung, especially given everything I'd done for them over the past 10 years. It started small, helping with utility bills when Dad's hardware store struggled during the recession. Then came my younger brother Mike's college tuition when their savings ran dry. I covered that too, nearly $40,000 per year for 4 years. My sister Jenny's medical bills after her car accident. I paid those without hesitation, including 2 years of physical therapy. Every month without fail, I transferred money to help with their mortgage. When Dad needed emergency heart surgery last year, I liquidated my stock options to cover the portions insurance wouldn't. The grand total over the past decade? Just shy of $300,000. And now, on my birthday, I was selfish because I wouldn't buy them a $1.2 million vacation home in the Hamptons. My phone buzzed. A text from Jenny. Way to ruin another family celebration with your selfishness. Mom's crying because of you. I turned off my phone and looked out my office window at the city skyline. The morning sun reflected off glass buildings, making them shine like mirrors. 10 years of supporting my family, and this was my reward. Emotional manipulation on my birthday. Last week, when Mom first brought up the vacation home idea, I tried to be reasonable. Mom, I can't afford a second home right now, especially not in the Hamptons. My salary is good, but it's not unlimited. But you make 6 figures. She protested. And you got that bonus last quarter. We found the perfect place. 5 bedrooms, ocean view, private beach access. Your father and I deserve this after everything we've been through. I'd attempted to explain about investments, retirement planning, and my own financial goals, but she wouldn't hear it. So your own parents' happiness means nothing to you? After everything we've done? Now, sitting in my office on my birthday, I pulled up my financial records on my laptop. Every transfer, every payment, every sacrifice I'd made for my family over the years was meticulously documented, a habit I developed early, though I'd never expected to need it. My assistant Kate knocked on my door. Happy birthday, Sarah. These just arrived for you. She carried in a gorgeous bouquet of lilies, my favorite flowers. The card was from my team at work, to the best boss ever. Happy 35th. Thanks, Kate. I managed to smile. Any messages? Your mother called 3 times this morning. She seemed upset. Should I keep holding her calls? I nodded. Yes, please. And Kate? Cancel my dinner plans for tonight. I'll be working late. After she left, I opened my bottom desk drawer and pulled out a folder I'd been keeping for months. Inside was a business plan I'd been developing in my spare time, a startup idea combining tech and education, something I dreamed about since college but never pursued because my family always needed the money I might have invested in it. Maybe it was time to make a change. Maybe my birthday present to myself should be freedom from the constant drain of family obligations. My phone buzzed again, this time a lengthy text from my father. Your mother is devastated. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? A vacation home isn't too much to ask from our successful daughter. We raise you better than this. I thought back to my childhood, to the reality behind their claims of sacrifice. Yes, they'd put me through college with student loans in my name that I paid off myself. Yes, They'd given me a roof over my head, while I worked part-time jobs from age 16 to contribute to household expenses. Their narrative of endless sacrifice conveniently ignored how I'd been supporting myself and them for years. A new email popped up from my brother Mike. "Hey sis, heard you're being difficult about the vacation house. Come on, mom and dad deserve this. Jenny and I can't afford to help. We have our own families to think about. You're single, you have the money. Don't be selfish." Single. They always threw that at me, as if not having a husband and children somehow made my money community property. Never mind that I was single partly because I worked 60-hour weeks to maintain the income needed to support everyone. I pulled up my bank account and stared at the numbers. The regular monthly transfer to my parents' account was scheduled for tomorrow, $2,500 for their mortgage and utilities. My finger hovered over the mouse. 10 years of giving. 10 years of sacrifice. 10 years of watching my own dreams gather dust while I funded everyone else's, and my reward. Being called selfish on my birthday because I wouldn't buy them a $1 million vacation home. I thought about all the family dinners where they discussed their plans for my money, the casual way they'd volunteer me to pay for things, the guilt trips when I hesitated, the constant refrain of family obligation. Something inside me snapped. I picked up my phone and called my bank. After verifying my identity, I spoke clearly and firmly. "I need to cancel all recurring transfers from my account, effective immediately." The representative helped me through the process, and within minutes, it was done. 10 years of automatic payments stopped with a single phone call. Next, I opened my email and began composing a message to a real estate agent I knew. Subject line: ready to explore investment properties. If my family wanted a vacation home so badly, maybe it was time I bought one for myself. The rest of my birthday passed in a blur of meetings and emails, my phone buzzing constantly with messages from family members. By evening, I had 17 missed calls from mom, 12 from dad, and a barrage of texts from Mike and Jenny, each more accusatory than the last. I stayed at the office until 9 p.m., buried in work and my new plans. When I finally got home, I found a package leaning against my apartment door. A birthday gift from my Aunt Diana, mom's sister. Inside was a beautiful leather journal with a note. "For writing your own story. Sometimes family is the last to understand our worth. Love, Aunt Di." Diana had always been different from the rest of the family. She'd built her own successful consulting business, never married, and lived life entirely on her own terms. Growing up, I'd heard my mother call her selfish too. I poured myself a glass of wine and settled on my balcony, Diana's gift in my lap. Opening the journal, I began to write, not just about today, but about everything. Every guilt trip, every demand, every sacrifice. It all poured out onto the pages. My phone buzzed again. "Jenny, mom's blood pressure is through the roof because of you. If anything happens to her, it's your fault." I put the phone down without responding and pulled up my laptop instead. The real estate agent, Sofia Torres, had already emailed back. "Available to show you properties this weekend. Found several that match your criteria. One in particular I think you'll love." As I reviewed the listings she'd sent, another email arrived, this one from Marcus Chen, a venture capitalist I'd met at a technology conference last month. We discussed my startup idea over coffee, and he'd seemed genuinely interested. "Sarah, heard through the grapevine you might be ready to move forward with that edtech concept. My offer to invest still stands. Let's talk numbers." For the first time all day, I felt myself smile. Maybe this birthday would mark a new beginning after all. The next morning, I woke to find my parents had escalated their campaign. They called my Uncle Steve, Dad's brother, who was on the board of directors at Vertex Technologies. "Sarah, it's Uncle Steve. Your parents are very concerned about your behavior. This isn't like you. I hate to see this impact your professional reputation. Why don't you come to Sunday dinner and we can discuss this like family?" The threat was subtle but clear. They were trying to use Uncle Steve's position to pressure me professionally. What they didn't know was that I'd already proven myself invaluable to the company. Just last month, I landed the Henderson contract, a $50 million deal that had our competitors kicking themselves. I kept my response professional. "Uncle Steve, I appreciate your concern. However, my personal financial decisions are not up for family discussion. I trust you understand the importance of maintaining appropriate boundaries between personal and professional matters. He backed off immediately, as I knew he would. Uncle Steve hadn't gotten where he was by mixing family drama with business. Later that morning, I met with Sophia Torres to look at properties. She found a beautiful 3-bedroom house in the Berkshires. Not as flashy as the Hamptons, but exactly what I'd always dreamed of. Private, surrounded by nature, with a wraparound porch perfect for morning coffee and evening wine. The owners are motivated to sell, Sophia explained as we walked through the house. They're asking $600,000, but I think we could get it for $550,000. Half of what your parents wanted for that Hamptons place, and this has so much more character. I stood on the porch, looking out at the mountains. The autumn leaves were just starting to turn, painting the landscape in golds and reds. This could be my sanctuary, my escape from the constant demands and guilt trips. Let's make an offer, I said. On the drive back to the city, I had 3 more missed calls from Mom and a text from Mike. Just saw Uncle Steve. Can't believe you're dragging work into this. What's wrong with you? I pulled over at a rest stop and finally did what I should have done days ago. I wrote a family email. Dear Mom, Dad, Mike, and Jenny, for 10 years, I've supported this family without complaint. I've paid for college tuitions, medical bills, mortgages, and countless emergencies. I've done this out of love, but it's become clear that my generosity is now seen as an obligation rather than a choice. The expectations have become unsustainable. I will not be purchasing a vacation home for anyone. Furthermore, I am discontinuing all financial support effective immediately. This isn't up for discussion or negotiation. Any attempts to pressure me through other family members or professional connections will only reinforce that this is the right decision. I love you all, but it's time for me to prioritize my own future. Sarah. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. I turned it off completely and drove home in peaceful silence. By Monday morning, the family hysteria had reached new heights. Mom had apparently taken to her bed with stress-induced migraines. Dad was telling relatives I'd had some kind of mental breakdown. Mike and Jenny were posting vague, passive-aggressive status updates about true family values. I ignored it all and focused on work. I had a lunch meeting with Marcus Chan to discuss the startup, and I didn't want family drama distracting me. Marcus was waiting at the restaurant when I arrived, his usual energetic self. Sarah, been looking forward to this. Your timing is perfect. We just closed our latest fund, and I've been thinking about your edtech platform. Talk to me about scale. For the next hour, we discussed business models, market potential, and funding requirements. By the time dessert arrived, we had the outline of a deal, $2 million in seed funding for 20% equity. One condition, Marcus said, sliding the preliminary term sheet across the table. You have to commit full-time. No corporate safety net. Are you ready for that? I thought about my corner office at Vertex, my steady paycheck, the security that had allowed me to support my family for so long. Then I thought about the birthday note, the manipulation, the endless demands. Yes, I said, I'm ready. That afternoon, I had a long talk with my boss, Sandra. She was disappointed to lose me, but understanding. You've earned this chance to build something of your own, she said. And Sarah, don't let anyone make you feel guilty about it. I worked late again, drafting my formal resignation letter and making lists of everything I needed to do. The house offer had been accepted. I'd be closing in 30 days. The startup paperwork was being drawn up. My new life was taking shape. When I finally checked my phone that evening, I found a single text from Aunt Diana. Heard what happened. Good for you. They'll come around eventually, but even if they don't, you're doing the right thing. Dinner soon. I smiled and texted back, yes, I have a lot to tell you. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The weight of constant family obligations was lifting, replaced by the nervous excitement of new beginnings. For the first time in a decade, I was choosing myself, and it felt right. News of my resignation from Vertex spread through the family like wildfire. Uncle Steve called it career suicide. Mom left tearful voicemails about how I was throwing everything away. But it was my father's reaction that truly showed me how deep the family's sense of entitlement ran. He showed up at my apartment unannounced one evening, just as I was reviewing the final paperwork for my house purchase. We need to talk about what you're doing to this family, he said, pushing past me into the living room. His face was flushed with anger, his hands shaking slightly. "There's nothing to talk about, Dad," I replied, keeping my voice calm. "I've made my decision." He turned to face me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. "Your mother can't sleep. The bank called about the mortgage payment. Mike's kids need new school uniforms. And you're buying yourself a vacation house." "It's not a vacation house," I corrected him. "I'm moving there. Permanently." The color drained from his face. "Moving? You can't move. What about us? What about our needs?" "What about my needs, Dad? When was the last time anyone in this family considered what I needed?" He paced the room, running his hands through his gray hair. "We're your family. Everything we asked of you was for the good of the family. And now you're just abandoning us." I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm choosing to live my own life. There's a difference." "A difference?" He laughed bitterly. "Tell that to your mother. Tell that to Mike's kids when they can't go to summer camp. Tell that to Jenny when she can't afford her physical therapy. I've paid for summer camps and physical therapy for years, Dad. Maybe it's time everyone learned to manage their own expenses." He stopped pacing and faced me, his expression hardening. "Is this about that startup thing? That pipe dream you're throwing away your career for?" My pipe dream. I felt heat rising in my cheeks. I just secured $2 million in funding. I'm building something of my own instead of bankrolling everyone else's dreams. $2 million? His eyes lit up in a way that made my stomach turn. "Well, that changes everything. We can still get that house in the Hamptons." "Stop." My voice was sharp enough to make him flinch. "Not a penny of that money is going to the family. It's for my business, my future." The silence that followed was deafening. Dad stared at me like he'd never seen me before. "You've changed," he finally said. "You're not the daughter we raised." "You're right, I'm not the ATM you raised me to be anymore." He moved toward the door, then turned back. "Your mother will never forgive you for this." "I know, but I'm finally learning to forgive myself for letting it go on so long." After he left, I sat in my quiet apartment, shaking. The confrontation had been awful, but also strangely liberating. For the first time, I'd said out loud what I'd been feeling for years. My phone buzzed, a text from Jenny. "Dad just told us everything. Hope you're happy in your big new house while Mom cries herself to sleep. Some sister you turned out to be." I blocked her number. The next morning, I woke to an email from Mike. The subject line read "Family Meeting, Your Last Chance. We're meeting at Mom and Dad's on Sunday. Aunt Diana will be there too. This is your chance to explain yourself and make things right. Don't throw away your family over money." I forwarded the email to Aunt Diana. "Are they really dragging you into this?" Her response came quickly. "They tried. Told them I had a business trip. Stand your ground, Sarah. I'm proud of you." The rest of the week passed in a whirlwind of startup preparations. I hired my first 2 employees, signed a lease on a small office space, and finalized the paperwork for my new house. Every step forward felt like breaking another chain that had held me back. Sunday morning, while my family gathered to discuss my betrayal, I met with an interior designer to plan my new home office. As we discussed paint colors and desk arrangements, my phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. It was Uncle Steve. "Sarah, your parents just told me about your startup funding. I think Vertex might be interested in investing. We could structure it as a family business venture." I cut him off. "No thank you, Uncle Steve. My business isn't for sale to the family. Not now, not ever." That evening, I received a final email from my mother. "Since you've made it clear that money means more to you than family, consider yourself no longer part of this family. Don't expect to be included in any future gatherings or celebrations. You've made your choice. P.S. I've told everyone at church to pray for your soul." I printed the email and placed it in Diana's journal alongside the birthday note that had started it all. Someday, these would be reminders of the moment I finally broke free. 1 year later, I stood on the wraparound porch of my Berkshire's home, watching the sunrise paint the mountains in soft golden light. My morning coffee steamed in the crisp autumn air as I reviewed the latest numbers from my startup on my tablet. We'd exceeded all projections. Our educational technology platform was now being used in over 200 schools across 3 states. Marcus had already started talking about Series B funding. The pipe dream my father had dismissed was becoming a reality beyond even my expectations. I heard footsteps behind me and turned to see Aunt Diana, who had driven up for the weekend to celebrate my 36th birthday. Still can't believe how perfect this place is, she said, joining me at the railing with her own coffee. Much better than that gaudy Hamptons house they wanted. I smiled. Have you heard from them recently? She nodded. Your mother cornered me at Cousin Beth's wedding last month. Apparently, they had to downsize to a smaller house. She blamed you, of course. Of course. I took another sip of coffee, and the others. Well, Mike finally got a full-time job. Jenny's husband got a promotion, so she's managing. They're all surviving without your support, exactly as I said they would. The past year hadn't been easy. There have been more angry emails, more attempts at manipulation, more family members trying to pressure me into making things right. But with each passing month, the attempts grew less frequent, less intense. Last week, I'd received a card from my mother, the first direct communication in months. Inside was a newspaper clipping about my startup success and a brief note, "Congratulations, Mom." No apology, no acknowledgement of the past, but also no demands or guilt trips. It was something at least. Your parents were at the wedding too. Diana continued. Your mother spent half the reception telling everyone how worried she is about you, living all alone up here. I laughed. Alone? I have more real friends now than I ever did when I was bankrolling family vacations, and I'm dating someone. Diana's eyebrows shot up. You didn't tell me that. Details, please. His name is Daniel. He's a literature professor at Williams College. We met at that little bookstore in town 3 months ago. He has no idea about my family drama or my company's success, and he doesn't care. He just likes having coffee and talking about books. Sounds perfect. Diana smiled. You seem happy, Sarah, truly happy. I thought about it. The past year had brought challenges I never expected. Building a startup from scratch was harder than anything I'd done at Vertex. Living away from the city required adjustments. There were moments of doubt, moments when the weight of family expectations still tried to creep back in. But there were other moments too. Quiet mornings like this one. The satisfaction of building something meaningful. The freedom to choose how to spend my time and money. The joy of genuine relationships not tainted by financial obligation. I am happy, I said finally, and you know what? I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Diana squeezed my hand. That's the best birthday gift you could give yourself. Later that evening, after Diana left, I sat in my home office reviewing some old emails. I found myself opening the folder where I'd saved all the family messages from last year. The birthday note, the accusations, the attempts at manipulation. Reading them now, I felt oddly detached. The words that had once cut so deep now seemed small, even desperate. I closed the folder and opened my calendar instead, smiling at what I saw. Next week, I'd be speaking at an educational technology conference in Boston. The month after that, we were rolling out our platform to another 100 schools. In December, Daniel and I were planning a trip to Quebec. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Happy birthday, Sarah. The new house is nice. Smaller, but nice. Hope you're well. I read it twice, noting what wasn't there. No complaints, no demands, no guilt trips. Maybe this was what acceptance looked like in my family. Not warm embraces and loving reconciliation, but simple acknowledgement of reality. I typed back, "Thank you, Mom. I'm glad you're well too." Then I walked out onto my porch again, wrapped in a cozy sweater, and watched the stars come out over my mountains. My house, my life, my choices. Sometimes the best gifts we can give ourselves are the hardest to unwrap.